Russia attacked Ukraine in February 2022, Washington realized that a war over Taiwan with China was inevitable. The only question was the timing of this war. On this basis, since the beginning of November 2022, the Pentagon began to transfer its Kadena base on the Japanese island of Okinawa, the fifth-generation F-22 Raptor fighters, replacing its obsolete F-15s. The point of this deployment is very clear: to dramatically strengthen its air forces in the region, which will be the first to engage Chinese invasion forces. The F-22 Raptor is a versatile airplane. It's equally great as an air fighter for gaining air superiority and as a strike aircraft for hitting land and sea targets. And just as obviously, its main rival in the skies will be China's fifth-generation Chengdu J-20 fighter. In this video, we'll try to predict how this confrontation may end, and a little bit about the mistake, in our opinion, the Pentagon. What is it? Watch this video to the end. The F-22 Raptor is the first fifth-generation fighter, many of whose characteristics remain unrivaled to this day. Although the aircraft entered service with the U.S. Air Force in 2005, so almost 20 years ago, a total of 195 Raptors were built, and production was shut down in 2011 when the Pentagon decided to prioritize the multi-role F-35 Lightning II. Its Chinese counterpart, the Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon, went into service in 2017, exactly the analog since the Chinese simply stole many of the F-22 solutions. Well, it's time to compare the original and its Chinese copy. We'll compare them to three main parameters for a modern fighter: stealth, maneuverability, and armament. Stealth. Several factors affect the stealth of an aircraft: the shape of the aircraft, the quality of the radio-absorbing coating, and measures to reduce infrared radiation. The F-22 and J-20 are very similar in appearance, but the Chinese have two elements of the horizontal plumage in front, characteristic of the aerodynamic scheme duck. It's used to increase the liners of the Celestial Empire, could not get the necessary stability and maneuverability without them. It's known that stealth fighters are unstable because of their aerodynamics, so you need a computer for control. Probably China could not create a computer of the necessary computing power and size to do without a duck. However, these elements of the horizontal plumage greatly affect the radar visibility of the airplane, increasing it. Also, experts believe that the characteristics of radio-absorbing coating in the F-22 are higher than in the J-20. Therefore, it's safe to say that the Raptor is less visible on radar than the Mighty Dragon. The press often flashes a figure of 0.01 or even 0.001 square meters. This is the effective scattering area for the F-22. We don't know how reliable this figure is due to its secrecy, but the fact that the J-20 has a higher one is a fact. In 2022, the Indian Defense Research Wing website reported that the radar of an Indian Su-30 MKI detected and tracked Chinese fifth-generation J-20 fighters flying over Tibet. Knowing the warm, quotes, relations between the two countries with a population of 1.5 billion people, this report should be treated with a certain degree of skepticism. But characteristically, there have never been any such statements regarding the F-22 Raptor. And what about stealth in the infrared range? To reduce infrared emissions, the F-22 has flat nozzles. This helps the exhaust gases to be more evenly distributed and cooled before leaving the engine. The airplane also has an engine thermal management system, plus the surfaces of the airplane that are most exposed to aerodynamic heating are forcibly cooled. As for the Chinese fighter, nothing is known about measures to reduce the infrared visibility, but the fact that its nozzles are not flat is a fact. Thus, we can say that the F-22 Raptor is more difficult to detect, both in the radio and infrared range. Consequently, the American fighter can launch an attack earlier while still being invisible to the enemy, and it's more difficult for Chinese air-to-air missiles to target it. Maneuverability. There's more unambiguity in this question. The F-22 Raptor is powered by two Pratt & Whitney F-119 PW100 twin-turbojet twin-circuit engines with an afterburner and vertically controlled thrust vector. They give a combined thrust of 15,876 kilograms or 35,000 pounds. This gives the Raptor a thrust-to-weight ratio at a normal takeoff weight of 1.15 to reach a top speed of 2,410 kilometers an hour or 1,500 miles per hour. That's Mach 2.26. And importantly, to have a supersonic no-forsake speed of 1,800 kilometers an hour or 1,120 miles, and that's Mach 1.7. On the prototypes and the first production aircraft, J-20 was installed Russian engine AL-31FN, including the third series with the thrust on afterburner 13,970 kilograms or 30,800 pounds. Recall that Russian Su-27s fly on the AL-31FN engine. It doesn't have a controlled thrust vector. The Chinese WS-10C engine is equipped with serial J-20A aircraft starting in 2019. The afterburner thrust of this product is 14,480 kilograms or 31,920 pounds. It's sufficient for cruising flight at low supersonic speed. This engine also does not have a controllable thrust vector. The WS-15 controlled thrust vectoring engine has been undergoing testing in China since January 2022. In June 2023, a J-20B equipped with two WS-15 engines was spotted. As for the speed that the Chengdu J-20 with the WS-15 engine will be able to reach, exact data is not provided. However, the existing version of the J-20 with Russian engines is capable of speeds up to Mach 2.3, so approximately 2,450 kilometers an hour or 1,520 miles per hour. With the improvements envisioned with the WS-15 engine, one would expect the speed to be higher, but specific figures are unknown. Thus, it can be concluded that all Chengdu J-20 aircraft produced until at least June 2023 are inferior to the F-22 Raptor in terms of maneuverability. Machines with WS-15 engines will be no worse than American aircraft in maneuverability, but it's not known how many of them have already been produced and whether they've been produced at all. Armament. Currently, the F-22 Raptor can carry 6 AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles in its internal bays with a range of 180 kilometers or 110 miles and a maximum speed of Mach 4. Plus, 2 more AIM-9X Sidewinder close-in missiles with a range of 30 kilometers or 18 miles and a speed of Mach 2.5. The aircraft also has a 20mm M61A2 Vulcan cannon with 480 rounds. If it comes to close combat, the so-called dogfights, its importance can hardly be overestimated. The Chinese have no such weapons at all. For the Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon, the official ammunition includes 2 short-range PL-10 missiles with semi-active radar homing heads and a range of up to 50 kilometers or 30 miles in the side intra-fuselage suspension units, and 4, some publications write about 6 short, medium, and long-range missiles in the central intra-fuselage weapon suspension compartment. Thus, in total, the J-20 can carry up to 8 air-to-air missiles. In addition to the PL-10, China has the PL-12 medium-range active radar-guided missile with a range of up to 90 kilometers or 55 miles, and the PL-15 long-range active radar-guided missile with a range of up to 300 kilometers or 180 miles. But all of these missiles will only show their combat potential if they have a modern, high-performance radar. After all, to shoot at the enemy, it must be seen beforehand. F-22 radar, AN/APG-77 with active phased array antenna, is capable of tracking a target of 1 square meter at a distance of 240 kilometers or 150 miles, and was recognized as the most advanced radar for fighters. The AN/APG-77 has a low intercept probability mode of operation, rendering conventional systems of detecting an aircraft by its radar performance useless. The AN/APG-77 radar is capable of active radar searching a fighter aircraft equipped with such a system in such a way that the enemy does not know it's being irradiated. Unlike conventional radars, which emit high-powered pulses of energy over a narrow frequency range, the AN/APG-77 emits low-energy pulses over a wide frequency range using a technique called broadband transmission. When the multiple echoes return, the radar's signal processor combines the signals. The amount of energy reflected from the target is at the same level as conventional radar, But because each pulse of the AN/APG-77 has a much lower amount of energy and a different signal structure, it'll be difficult for the enemy to detect the F-22. The Chengdu J-20 is reportedly equipped with an active phased array radar, which is believed to have similar characteristics to the F-22 radar. However, the exact technical details and capabilities of the J-20's radar are not fully disclosed, as this is classified information. It's known that the J-20 is also equipped with an optronic detection system that allows it to detect targets without the use of radar, which increases its stealth capabilities. To summarize, the US F-22 stealth fighter is undoubtedly more stealthy in the radio and infrared range and has better maneuverability, not counting the J-20, which has a WS-15 engine. As for armament, the Chinese aircraft looks more attractive in this manner. It has more missiles and their range is higher. But again, how their homing heads will work against an object with a very low effective dispersion area is unclear. And if it comes down to a dogfight, the American air cannon will have its say. In general, we can say that it'll be a battle of roughly equal opponents. But if the fighting takes place in the area of Taiwanese or Japanese air defense, the advantage will be on the side of the F-22. If in the area of Chinese air defense, the situation will be reversed. I'd also like to add the following. The Pentagon is replacing obsolete F-15s with F-22s, not with F-35s, but the latter are much more numerous. And the cost of their operation is much lower. What does this indicate? That the U.S. believes that the F-35 is inferior in its combat qualities to the J-20, and probably high offices are already asking questions and whether we are not in a hurry to close the program for the production of the F-22 in favor of the F-35. Fortunately, the Pentagon has already abandoned plans to write off the Predators in the 30s, and on the contrary, an extensive program to modernize them is now underway. In particular, the aircraft will have the long-awaited infrared target detection system. But of course, in the battle for Taiwan, the F-35s will also participate. After all, they are in service with the Japanese. And most importantly, they are in service with several aircraft carriers, including the super aircraft carrier Gerald Ford, which will surely be in the conflict zone. Seems to us that the F-22 Raptor is seen in the Pentagon as the decisive argument that'll tip the scales of victory in favor of the U.S. and its allies. On this optimistic note, let me finish our story about the comparison of two stealth fighters, the American F-22 Raptor and the Chinese Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon. By the way, according to NATO classification, Chengdu J-20 is called not Mighty Dragon, but Black Eagle. If you see this name, you should know that it's the same airplane. We'd be grateful for thumbs up and subscriptions to our channel dedicated to modern weapons. See you soon.